This is Incident in Jeema, Act 3, T Path. If you do not recall exactly which path this was, simply follow the end card that's going to appear right now. It'll bring you to a quick recap. It's just going to be the end of the last act of this path. So just follow the end card. It'll bring you there. If you remember everything that happened and this is a path you want to be on, great. Continuing forth. My eyes pop open. I'm being shook awake, and the one shaking me is Toru. She holds my shoulders while sitting next to me, a panicked look on her face. Ichigo, you're awake. We gotta get to school, she says quickly. Toru lets go of me, and I sit up. The pain of sleeping on the cold, hard floor almost makes me drop myself back to the floor. I keep myself held up as I try and get a grip of the situation. My mind remains in a haze, as does my vision while I glance around the room. My eyes follow Toru as she frantically grabs her backpack and slings it over her shoulder. What Toru had said had finally registered. I jolt upwards onto my feet without a word, quickly grabbing my things, and, right before leaving Toru's room, I ask without really thinking, "Want to come with me to my house?" "Yeah," she says out of breath, while rushing to my side. We both cross the street when I notice what seems to be a path into a wooded area. From my knowledge of the area, if we kept walking straight through that man-made path, we should arrive on the opposite side of the street my house is on, a much faster route than if we go all the way around. I look at Toru and grab her hand. "Let's go this way." I point to the opening. Toru stares at me, her face turning red. I still had only just woken up, rather abruptly at that, and so I stare at Toru's quickly reddening face, unable to discern why she's turning red. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's okay." Toru takes a deep breath after I let go of her hand. "I really didn't mean to grab your hand like that." Toru averts her gaze and hides her face. She doesn't say anything, and leaves the atmosphere around us a bit awkward. "I'll see you at school." Toru nods and gives a small wave before I start walking into the forested area. I walk, slowly, at first, as not to step on or walk onto anything. But the path slowly opens up, and as it does, I progressively pick up my pace into a run. I don't pay attention to my surroundings other than what's immediately around me. Quickly, the dense shrubbery turns into a large open field, yet I have no time to stop and take in the landscape. Once I step foot into my house, I hear cries from my parents, cries filled with relief and sadness. "Ichigo, you're okay. Thank God. You seriously had me worried that we would see you and ourselves on those news reports soon." "News reports? I'll ask you to once I get home from school. I gotta go." I rush up to my room. My parents linger by the stairs with looks of worry. "Be safe, please," my mother yells out, yet I find the whole situation to be off-putting. While it's true that I haven't spent a night out of the house without telling the two of them in a long time, it used to be a rather common occurrence. I catch up to Toru on the way, who is panting and out of breath. "Toru!" I call to her. She turns around but doesn't stop walking. Not that it truthfully makes any difference, her legs are barely even lifting off the ground with each small step. "Ichi, go." She gasps for air. She reaches out for me, so I take her arm and put it around my shoulder. How is she this tired already? She tends to be a little bit out of breath when we make the trek from school to her house, yet she tends to be doing far better than this. "Toru, you okay?" I'll be fine. I haven't done any physical exercise in a long time," she admits to me, still gasping for air. "What? I sigh. I don't say anything else while I hold her up so she can catch her breath. She pulls her arm away from me and lets it fall to her side after a few minutes. "Sorry, I can't exactly run for long. I locked myself up in my room for quite a few years, but let's just not talk about that, okay?" Her statement raises more questions than answers, but prying wouldn't be right, so I keep my mouth shut on the subject and try to not to let my thoughts run wild about her words. "We'll walk then. We were already going to be late." "Thank you, Ichigo." Toru smiles. My mind fails to focus on her smile, but what she said. My heart palpitates to the thought of what truth could be. 3 days come and go, and as Toro and I leave the school, a voice I haven't heard comes up from behind us. Yo, what's up, Ichi? Tomatsu. After months of not talking to me, he has made his return, and he returns using the nickname he and Mayuki used to call me, though it was really only ever him that used it. Oh, Tomatsu, it's been a while. How have you been? Been good, rather busy. Sorry, I haven't gotten in contact with you in a while, but how have you been? I've been doing well. Toru stands awkwardly next to us, which Tomatsu seems to take note of. And who are you? Don't tell me you're Ichi's. The suggestion that Toru and I could be a couple, or that we look like one at all, sets my heart into a crazy flurry. I quickly feel the blood rush to my face with no way to stop the oncoming blush. No, I'm only... Toru hesitates to finish. Only his friend. Toru finishes her sentence, but the latter she says quietly and in either a pained or disappointed voice. Before I have much time to really think about it, Tomatsu speaks up again. Well, I just wanted to ask you if you wanted to hang out tomorrow. Well, yeah, sure. It's been months since we actually hung out. Yeah, sorry again. I've just been really busy with something important. But I had some time, so I thought I'd just ask to hang out with you. I want to ask him now what exactly he's been so busy with, but putting my attention back on Toru, who stands by my side awkwardly, she seems rather out of place and uncomfortable. While Tomatsu may be my best friend, he really did disappear for months. As much as I want to keep talking to him, I want to stay focused on who's with me now. With that in mind, and a quick glance at Toru, seeing her rather distraught state, I set out to quickly end the conversation with Tomatsu. But it seems like he noticed Toru's body language too. Well, I'll be on my way now. I'll leave you two to see yourselves. See you tomorrow, Ichigo. I'll send you a text later. And with that, Tomatsu runs off in the direction of his house. I wave off to him and quickly put my attention back to Toru. I hate seeing her like this. Sorry about that, Toru. You want to start going back now? Oh, yeah, let's go. Toru stays quiet, and so I go quiet too as we walk. I don't want to drop her off at her house on such an awkward note, so I do my best to make conversation. So, Toru, how's that achievement hunting going? I ask her. With that question, she starts talking like she usually does when we're alone, her face slowly lighting up yet again. I raise my hand, readying myself to do something I haven't done in a few months. I knock on Tomatsu's door. We agreed before that I would come over around 6 in the evening. How you doing? Come on in. Tomatsu welcomes me into his house, putting his hand up in a presenting way and moving out of the doorway. Tomatsu's parents recognize me immediately as I walk into their living room. Oh, Ichigo, it's been quite a while, hasn't it? We're glad to see you again. Tomatsu's mom greets me. His dad follows up. So what have you been up to, Ichigo? I've been doing all right. Glad to hear it. It's rather unnatural not to see you in so long, Ichigo. You and Tomatsu were so inseparable, Tomatsu's dad responds to me. Well, now my little boy has his... Mom! Tomatsu quickly cuts her off. Please, don't. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought if you told anyone, you would have told him. His mom apologizes. I can't help but assume. So the guess I was most sure of might be correct. He's been busy with a girlfriend, hasn't he? Anyways, Ichigo, you just want to go wander around a Jeema? You just want to go wander around Jeema, like the norm? Tomatsu asks me. Yeah, sure. Let's get going then. I agree with him. It's settled then. I'll let you take the lead. We'll be back, Mom. Dad. I'll see you later, Mr. and Mrs. Sazakaramo. So I'm taking the lead then, I say as Tomatsu and I turn the corner off the street his house is at. Yeah, Mayuki and I always enjoyed following you for our adventures. You usually led us to some pretty cool places. Tomatsu smiles at me and throws a thumbs up. Just like when we were kids, the only part of this we're missing is Mayuki. She's long since moved away, however, so I doubt we'd ever get that chance. I didn't always take the lead whenever we all hung out. It was mainly only when we went to take walks. We each had our own things we did better than the others at. When we were stuck inside, it was Mayuki who chose what we did. And when we played sport-like games, it was Tomatsu. Those days we weren't quite so sure what it was that we wanted to do, I would take the lead. I was quite fascinated with venturing out and finding new places. It always tended to be the spots I led us to were heavily cloaked in mysticism. We were always shrouded in silence in those moments, but it was never awkward. Now, that's changed for me. I couldn't explain why, no matter how hard I tried, but no longer do I feel any such way about the things I see anymore. Perhaps it's just a part of growing up. The world and how I see it changes. We'll see if I've lost that talent I had so long ago then. I smile at Tomatsu before turning my head back to the sidewalk ahead. Tomatsu's house is really close to the edge of Jeema, so it shouldn't really take long for this sidewalk to end before it turns into just a country road. But the sidewalk ending doesn't mean our little adventure will too. Are you sure you're alright with going this far? I asked Tomatsu, but he didn't respond. He kept staring at the ground. Whatever he's thinking must be really troubling him. He rarely ever gets like this. Tomatsu quickly notices my concerned gaze, but never notices I said anything. He turns his head and makes a small startled jump. Huh? I asked if you're alright going out this far. Oh, yeah, I'm alright with it. I keep a look of skepticism on my face. Something's clearly up. I wouldn't be able to call myself his friend if I couldn't tell when he's trying to hide something. Anyways, what's this all even about? You troubled with a girl? Oh, no, definitely not. Tomatsu waves his hands in front of himself. I guess I can't really hide anything from my best friend. Tomatsu lets out an awkward laugh and scratches the back of his head. But I can't tell you exactly what it is quite yet. Sorry, Ichigo. Well, I won't force it out of you then, I concede. How about we focus on this little trip then? I throw Tomatsu a thumbs up and look back at the road ahead of us, which isn't so much of a road anymore. We veered off to the right, making our way into the grassy fields. The sun had already dipped into its slumber a little while ago, leaving the moon to shine a light glow in the sky around it, barely illuminating what's around us. The stars, trying to shine as bright as they could, paints the dark night sky with small white dots. I stop to look up at the vast universe looming above me. Tomatsu stops and looks up with me, and so we stand there in silence, together. Situations like these never feel real, and there's no real way to describe how it feels. A place like this, I would like to go to with Toru, to hold her hand as we both look up at this night sky, a date neither of us can describe in any detail, but a date that will never again be experienced. There's truly no more pushing it off or denying it. I'm in love with Toru. I didn't know what to make of it before. I haven't felt this way about anyone for many years. Tomatsu looks around the area before he blurts out, That's it! Right over there! He runs over to the top of a large-ish cliff that we have been standing on. I followed after him to the top. I look over the edge, which gives me a fright to realize how far of a fall it is. As I back away, a bit of the rock breaks off and plummets to the ground far below. Tomatsu walked around a bit more before sitting a little far away from the edge of the cliff. Thanks, man, for helping me find this area. Tomatsu thanks me. But I should be thanking him for asking to hang out. I finally figured out my feelings towards Toru. What I'm gonna do about it, I'm not sure. But at least now I know for sure. I love Toru. I feel that you could have just found this place on your own, but nonetheless, you're welcome. We continued to sit in silence for a bit longer before coming to an agreement that it was getting a tad late and that we should head back home. So once we reached Tomatsu's house, we parted ways. I feel ready to collapse already, but my house is so far away. No time for playing video games tonight. It'll be straight to bed. Thinking at this hour with this exhaustion couldn't possibly go well. And it doesn't seem to be working either. My brain refuses to cooperate with me. Only following the one string of code it's possible of running right now. Walk home. Once I got to paradise and laid my head on my pillow, I got a major sense of relief. Something else was hidden in that wave. A sort of surreal feeling. What had just happened? It was really out of the blue that Tomato had invited me to hang out with him, but the quiet that surrounded us the whole time was even more so. Tomatsu is usually a much more talkative guy. I don't know why we walked out as far as we did either, even though it was my choice to do so. There are always nights like this, so out of the ordinary from what I'm used to, that it can really throw me off sometimes. This is too much for me to be thinking right now. I'm way too tired. I close my eyes, ending my deep stare at the ceiling of my room, beginning the multi-hour long process of sleeping. Incident in Jeema, Act 3, T-Path, End.